for our Saturday night stream. Hope everybody is well tonight. I can see there's quite a few people on board already. Alrighty. Okay. There we go. I can see that you've got me. Hey, Carol. Well, top of the morning to you. Evening for us. How you going, love? Hey, Leanne. She-Deb ready. She-Deb ready. No, you are not allowed to start calling me
Yes,
She-Deb.
you are now She-Deb.
No, I'm not now She-Deb. Thank you so much, Leanne. Hey, Kim. Hey, Margaret and Shirley. Hey, Joe. Good to see you. Hi, Jane. Hiya, Susie. Hello there, Ace and Scott. Oh, dear. Lots and lots of people here today. Kerry, Megan. Who else we got?
She-Deb ready now for a song.
Daryl's in. Who else have we got? Lots of people. Lisa, I can see Lisa Cutts is in. Beautiful.
Joe wants to know where your tiara is.
Oh, God, I don't know.
You look good in it, though.
I think when I moved my desk, it actually got thrown out, so I don't have it anymore. So, yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? I have to make another one. Are all avoiding that wedding? Yeah, I have zero interest in that, but anyway. More power to them.
Yeah, what a way to get married in front of all those people, though. Oh my goodness, glad it's not me.
Yeah, no thanks. I'll stay with our little one in the park. Yep. That will do. All right, guys. Tonight we're doing the B2 weave, which I know a lot of our Maille Club members have already done. But we'll do a demonstration tonight for you guys. So it's a pretty easy weave. It's a unit-based weave. So I'll show you how to make up one of the units, and then basically you just string them all together for a bracelet or add a hook for earrings or whatever. I will switch over to the other camera and I'll give you a geezer at some of the pieces I made up, and we'll go from there. All right. Okay, so the big and chunky one is 14 gauge AWG, which is 1.6 millimeter diameter wire. And the ring sizes for the unit is 1/4 inch or 6.35 millimeters. And I chose to use 5 mils to join the sections together. So that's a massive, massive unit there. Really good for a pendant. The Maille Club members received one to make a bracelet in 16 gauge and a pendant in the 14 gauge. If you're into chunky earrings, it'd be great for that as well. But for a bracelet, you know, I mean, it's pretty full on. But that's in the 14 gauge. So 16 gauge AWG, which is 1.2 millimeter diameter wire. The rings to make up the unit are 3/16 or 4.76 millimeter ID. And I chose to use 5/32 to join the units together with. So that one's much more manageable as a bracelet. It still is a little on the large size, so if you don't like your bracelets too chunky, the 18 gauge AWG, which is 1 millimeter diameter wire, makes a sexy bracelet. That one I chose 5/32 or 3.97 millimeters for the size that was used in the units. And the joining rings are 3.5 millimeter ID rings. And then you've got the very sweet 20 gauge, which is 0.8 millimeters. 1/8 of an inch or 3.18 millimeter was the size of the rings used to make the actual unit. And I've joined them up with 2.75 mils. So you've gone from, you know, what looks like a great big chunky weapon down to a beautiful, delicate little lacy looking bracelet. So again, I'm thinking, you know, the 20 and the 18 gauge would have to be my favorites. 14 gauge is great for pendants. All right, so that's all the samples, and we'll get on to – making up a unit. Okay, so we start by just making up a chain of 2, 2, 2, and we want 7 pairs long. So to do that, I'm just going to pop, I've pre-closed my rings. I didn't tell anybody to do that, that was a bit sneaky. But I'm going to pop on 4 pre-closed rings onto an open ring, close that up, feed another open ring through. Okay. So we've got 3 pairs now. We want a total of 7, so I'm going to take another open ring, I'm going to feed it through one end. I'm going to pop on 2 more pre-closed rings. So you don't have to make the chain this way, just, however you make a chain, that's the way to do it. I prepped this so the weaving would go a little bit quicker for the demonstration, but whatever floats your boat, that's the way to do it. Okay, so we've got 5 pairs, we want 2 more pairs to go on. So again, we take up another open ring, feed it through the end of the chain, pop on 2 more closed rings, close it up, and feed through another open ring. And there you go, you've got your chain of 2, 2, 2, 7 pairs in total. Okay, so once you've got your little chain made up, we want to add our colour 2 rings. So again, they're all the same size. This is the 14 gauge, 1/4 inch, and we want to put 2 in this pair of rings, this pair of rings, this pair, and this pair, making sure that the rings all dangle on the same side of your chain. So we don't want them alternating in any way. So 2 of those, I can hear myself, I don't normally hear myself. Okay, 2 of those in there. Then we move down to the next one in the line there, into there. Well, Lorraine, I've been doing it for a few years now, so I've got a few years under my belt. Some days I'm all fingers and thumbs. Chris can vouch for the amount of swearing that happens some days. There we go. So again, when I put it into the next set of rings, I'm making sure that it's dangling on the same side. So we don't want it to go down here. We want it to be up here on the same side. I mean, the end ones don't matter because they move around, but these 2 middle ones, we need to make sure they're on the same side of the chain. Hey Anna, good to see you. And Natalie, who else has popped in? There's been a few that have popped in while I've been busy. No one's watching the wedding tonight. Okay, and one more in the end. Okay. Now, I don't know if you guys can hear, there's a motor in the background. Are you picking it up, Chris?
It's hard to tell.
Okay, our neighbour next door has decided to start up his boat engine for some reason at 7 o'clock at night on a Saturday up in the mountains, which is what you do, of course. So I do apologise if you guys are actually picking that sound up. There's not a lot I can do about it, unfortunately. All right, so we've added our colour 2 rings onto our chain, making sure that they're all dangling from the same side of the chain. You can't hear it, Kim? Okay, sweet. Because it's really annoying.
Yeah, I
He's doing it because he can.
Yeah.
I wish he wouldn't. But I suppose it's better at 7 o'clock at night than 7 o'clock tomorrow
As long
morning.
as it's not coming through, that's the main thing.
As long as it's not coming through. As long as it's only us, he's annoying. All right. So the next bit is a little bit trickier. It's a little bit fiddlier. For any that have done the busy wench weave with us, will have seen this maneuver before. So what we want to do now is we want to take the colour 2 rings that we've just placed, and we want to push our thumb up against them so that they go into the ring that they're hanging off. Okay, so we're just applying a little bit of pressure, pinching the chain between our finger and our thumb and pushing those rings up into the rings that they hang off. Okay, and while we're doing that, we want to separate out the pair of silver rings, and we want to come in with another opened silver ring and just to scoop up those 2 coloured rings. Okay, and once you've done that, close your ring up. Okay, and we want to do that all the way along. So we go down to our next one. We push those, oops, I don't want to play, push them up. Okay, take up an opened ring, separate the silver rings on top a little bit so that you can go in and scoop up just the coloured rings. It doesn't have to be pretty. Lord knows I'm not making it look pretty, but we just need to get in there. There we go. And pick just the coloured rings up. Okay, close it up. Move along to the next set of coloured rings. Again, push your thumb up against them. Push down on the chain next to it with your finger. Open up the silver rings best you can, and then scoop in and pick up just the coloured rings. Yep, there we go. You can see that we're picking up just those coloured rings. Closing it up. And then we've got the last pair dangling on the end. We do the same for them. So push them up, separate the silver rings. Oh, it stopped, thank goodness for that. Scoop up the coloured rings. All right. So that's what our work looks like at the moment. Is everybody following that okay? All right. So now we want to join our piece together, or join our ends together, I should say. So we want to go back to one of the ends of our piece and taking up an open silver ring, we just want to pick up the silver rings there on the side, just like that. Okay, and then we want to go to the other end of our chain, doing it in such a way that the rings that we just put in to hold the coloured rings are on the outside, and we go through the silver rings on the other end. And we close that up. Okay, once you've placed that first ring through there, take up another ring, put it through the end pair of rings on one end and the end pair of rings. Make sure you don't grab this silver ring here, the one that we're holding the colour 2 rings with. Just make sure you're going through just those silver rings on the end. Okay, and we close that up. Now, depending on your metal, this may be as far as you need to go. When I was doing a straight AA piece, or an anodized aluminium piece, I found I didn't have to do any more tightening of the weave, that the aluminium, obviously with the coating, was a little bit thicker, and I didn't have to tighten the weave up. So it may vary on where you've gotten your rings from, whether you're using more anodized aluminium than bright aluminium, or your metal's just slightly thicker. You may not have to tighten your weave up. So if you don't, that's great, you're finished. If you're finding it's sloppy like this one is, then what we want to do is we want to add another ring in here. I prefer to do this afterwards rather than as part of the process before, just in case you don't need them. You don't want to get to trying to join them up and it's too tight to do that. I'd rather come in later and tighten them all up. So all we want to do is go back to our points and feed through the coloured rings. We're just basically doubling up the points of our square, and you just do that all the way around. Okay, so just straight through there, picking up the colour rings. Sorry if I'm taking it off screen, Leanne. I have a very, very small section in front of me where I stay on screen. Sometimes it's just natural for me to bring my hands up closer to my face when I'm closing rings. And it's very easy. It's just a very small maneuver to take it out of screen. So I'm trying very hard not to, so I do apologise if that happens. Okay, so just going through, putting it on all the corners, tightening that weave up. Okay, we've got one more over here. So again, just going through, picking up the colour rings. Okay, and then just giving it a bit of a manipulation into so that it's straight and that it's holding its shape. And that's one unit. So then you make more of those, obviously, and you just join them up. Okay. Would you guys like it if I do another one?
Yeah, you've got plenty of time.
Yeah, I've got plenty of time. I've got some rings prepped. I don't have them all prepped, but I've got some rings prepped here. So I'll just go through and make another one for you guys. So you can just, if there was anything you missed. Okay, so again, making up our chain. I'm popping on 4 closed rings onto an opened ring. Doubling up the open ring. Look, it's a really sweet little unit to make. As I said, the materials can make a little bit of difference to it. So you may have to play with different materials if you go for a full AA version or something. But it does make a very sweet little bracelet in the finer gauges, and the pendant is lovely in the 14 gauge. I've made a few pendants in the past using it in the 14 gauge. The centre be able to capture a Rivoli? No, I wouldn't think so, because of these rings here. They wouldn't be going around a Rivoli, they'd be fighting against it. There's also movement within the unit, and that would pop a Rivoli out. The only way I'd consider putting anything in there was if it was perhaps a bead and you used it on a bit of beading wire and connected it to the rings so they don't pop out. I wouldn't trust it to hold anything. Okay, so just putting another ring through here. So I've got 5 pairs. And one more. Okay. So we've got our chain made up. Just need to get some AA prepared. All right, so again, we add the AA. We want to add 4 pairs in. And we want to keep them all on the same side of the chain. If you'd want to incorporate beads into it, they'd have to really be dangles, I think. You know, you could have some sort of drop coming off here or off either of these arms, depending on how you position it. If you position it more like a cross. Okay. So again, just making sure that we keep these coloured rings on the same side of the chain. So I wouldn't want them to go down here. I want them up here so that they're on the same size as the previous pair. Oh, I've just realised I've put them in the wrong one. Crap. That's what I get for watching the screen and not what I was doing. Sorry, guys. All right, don't do what Deb does, except if you're my children. But if my children are listening, always do what your mother tells you to do. Okay, I'll fix that up. You could definitely use a bicone in there, Margaret. I wouldn't know what size though, but it would have to be on, definitely on wire. It's not stable enough to hold anything in there just by pressure. Now, am I doing this right? Have I got it right this time? Hello, Wes. How you going? No, the unit all uses the larger ring. So in this case, I'm using the 1/4 inch. So the unit is made up of the larger ring size. So for anyone that's got the tutorials, the larger ring size are the units, and the smaller rings are the joining rings. So the unit uses all the same size. Okay, so once we've got the chain put together, we've got our danglies hanging off. They're all on the right rings and they're all hanging from the same size. Always fantastic. Excellent, Wes. We want to go to our end ring. Oh, I don't have the rings prepared. We want to go to the end of our chain and we're going to push our coloured rings up into the middle of the rings, the silver rings that they're hanging off. We're going to separate those silver rings a little bit here on the side, and we're going to scoop up the coloured rings with our silver rings. Just make sure we've got the colour rings, nothing else. We just do that with the one ring there and move on to the next one. Again, just pushing that pair of coloured rings up into the silver ring, into the middle, and with an opened ring, just separate the silver rings a little bit so that you can see those colour rings, so that you can get in there and scoop them up. Okay, making sure you've got just the colour rings. Okay, do that all the way down the line until you've scooped up all of the, oops, sorry, didn't quite punches that time, until you've scooped up all of your colour rings. Okay, it may take a little fiddling, a little finagling.
So, Deb,
Mm-hmm.
just some clarification on Sonia's question.
Mm-hmm.
You got listed under the 14 gauge, the 1/4 inch and the 5 mils.
Mm-hmm.
So when do you use the 5 mils?
To join the units together.
Ah.
They're the connecting rings. So the smaller rings in the tutorials or in the listed rings are the connecting rings. The unit itself all uses one size.
So you can do that. What you do too?
Hmm?
Do you have the 5 mils up here?
I do, and once I do too, I can join them together.
Makes sense to me then.
Okay, so we've run our ring through and picked up all of our dangling coloured rings. Okay, it's looking a little like Busy Winch at the moment. And what we want to do now is join our two ends together. So with our silver rings on the outside and our coloured rings on the inside, taking up another open ring, we go to the end of our chain and we pick up just the pair of silver rings there on the end. So don't pick up this silver ring that's holding the coloured rings, just the silver rings there that were part of the original chain that we made. Okay, go through that and do the same on the other end of your chain, making sure that you're folding it so that your colour rings are sitting on the inside and going through and picking up the silver rings on the other end. Okay, so we join that up, and to make it look like all the rest, we put another ring in. Okay, join the ends together. And then once we've got that done, we basically now just need to tighten our weave up. Hey Julie love, how are you going? And we do that by going in and doubling up these rings here in the corner, our corner rings. So just put it through in between the silver rings, picking up the colour rings, and just go through and put one of those in each of the corners. Okay. So as I said before, you may find that you don't need to do this step, depending on the materials you're using. Just play it by ear. Okay. And one more. So you can see that it's sort of all floppy at the moment. I leave it that way until I've put the last ring in. And then you just gently move it so that it tightens itself all up and straightens up. And you've finished a unit. Okay, so as I said, you use the smaller rings to join your units together. When there's no reason why you can't use the bigger rings, I just think the smaller rings look neater. So if you find that you've only got the one ring size, or if you don't have this exact ring size, I mean, these are just connecting rings. So whatever you've got that works, use that. These are just the ones that I found that I had that I liked. So it's as simple as just joining corners together. I like to double it all up because all the other rings are doubled. Again, you do whatever it is that you like. Okay, so that's 1, 2. And you just do that for the length of your bracelet until you've got what you need. And that's it. Use the 5mm where paglored. The actual piece itself is made up of the 1/4 inch, the 14 gauge 1/4 inch. I used the 5mm to join it to the chain. That was it. So the 5mm rings that I listed as part of the tutorial or part of the suggested sizes, they're the connecting rings only. They aren't used to make up the unit at all. So any of the smaller rings and any of the gauges are for connecting only. The larger rings that were listed for each size makes up the units.
Cool.
So is everybody clear with that? So this one here, the sizes that were listed, for example, for the 20 gauge was 1/8 and 2.75. So every ring in here in the unit is 1/8. The only time the 2.75s come into play are these little ones here. Okay. So is everybody's cool with that? Yes. Cool. Excellent. Oh look, I'm a fan of simple. It's not to say I don't throw some difficult ones in for you guys, but simple is my favourite, and simple done well is much more beautiful than tricky done poorly in my books. So I'm all about the simple. And no comments from the peanut gallery over there.
You married me. You're all about the simple.
All about the simple. All right, sweet. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. As I said, it's in the 20 gauge and the 18 gauge, it's a lovely little bracelet. The 14 gauge is great for your pendants. You can hang beads off it, off the ends or off the arms for something a little bit different to sexy it up a little bit. But yeah, hopefully you guys can do something with all of that. Yeah, I was waiting for him to say something, Shirley. He doesn't usually allow me to leave myself that wide open with comments like that before he zaps me with a zinger. Alrighty then, well, I think we're done with that part of tonight. Excellent, Lorraine. Glad you like it. Very cool. No worries, Natalie. Okay, peeps. Well, I think that's it then. We don't have any exciting news to share. I'm really sorry. Monday and Tuesday. Oh, Chris is always naughty. Always. I mean, he puts up a good front, but believe me, he's always naughty. Monday and Tuesday, what are we up to? June's? Is that what I'm up to? June? Yep. June's Maille Club will go out. I've got all the rings and everything ready to start bagging up and making all the kits. No news on MailCon at the moment. We've been looking. We just wanted to look into some of the local halls around here to see if there was anywhere else that we might be interested.
Still looks like the school's the
It
best
still looks
option.
like the school is where we will go. So I need to go up to the school and talk to them and see if we can book in. So at this stage, there's no real confirmed dates or anything, only that it'll be happening in the latter part of October, as we discussed. All right. Thanks a lot for joining us, Lisa. You have a great day. Accommodation nearby. There's accommodation down in Penrith. You've got the Penrith Leagues Club down in Penrith. There are a couple of other small motels in the Penrith area. There is a motel up in Falconbridge, which is a 15-minute drive. So you've got accommodation sort of 15-20 minutes either side of us. Mount Riverview, Blaxland itself doesn't have any accommodation. But yeah, there is accommodation, or you can go further up into the mountains depending on where you want to stay. But there are, Penrith is probably your best bet for accommodation. It's a much bigger area than Mount Riv.
More amenities.
Yeah. We're just a little village. They call us villagers up here in the mountains. And we're just a little village off on one of the ridges, so we don't have anything fancy. But yes, that'll be going in October. Lean on them a little. Who are we leaning on, Wes? I'm not sure who he's talking to there.
It's like a road trip for Margaret.
Margaret. Look, a car would probably be better, Margaret. Just Falcon, yeah, because there's nothing near the train stations and things. A B&B, not that I'm aware of, Julie. It's not to say there isn't one, but there's not one that I'm aware of.
Airbnb, there is some Airbnb.
Airbnbs, there could be. Room for a tent? Well, yes, we do have room for a tent in the backyard. We've got room for several tents in the backyard, if that's the way you want to go.
I might even cook breakfast.
Chris will cook your breakfast. The school usually gives us a good deal, Wes. They're certainly cheaper than anybody else in the area. They also allow us to set up the night before without charging us for it, which wouldn't necessarily be the case if we went elsewhere. In the past, every time we've gone with the school, they've used that money to pay for the Year 6 formal. So I'm very happy to give our money to the school because it helps the kids out there, even though we don't have kids there anymore. Still happy to help them out. Well, yeah, unfortunately my contact for the school admin retired last year, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it's going to go when I go up there this year and see if I can get the hall. It'd be cold camp in a tent. In October, is it cold? How cold is it in October?
No, it'd be warm enough.
Warm enough. Be warm enough in a tent. You'll do the tent thing, Kim? And we might have to stake out some spots in the backyard then. The only thing is, guys, I have to tell you, our backyard is not private. Our side fence is, what do they call it? Cyclone fence?
Cyclone fence.
Our side fence, we've got people that live behind us. So their driveway runs down the side of our place. We've got cyclone fencing. You'll be on display, basically. So you may not want to stay in our backyard. Yes, but October, and I will go up to the school shortly and organise dates so we can lock. Oh, that's fair enough, Wes. Yeah, you might freeze down here. We might let you stay in the work shed then, Wes. It'd be slightly warmer.
He'll need a fire.
You'll need the fire.
Keep him warm.
Put him in the back room.
Yep.
Not a problem. You stay in the tent and I'll stay in your house. Yeah, I'm not staying in nobody's bloody tent.
Yeah.
I'm too old for that rubbish, Margaret. Anyway, I'm going to go camping if it's one of those glamping sites where they have proper beds and everything in there. Alrighty, guys. Yeah, no, on a serious note, we have tried to have a look at a couple of halls around here. Just thinking about whether or not to do it 2 days. But at this stage, I think we'll just keep with the 1 day and we'll do it up at the school. All right. Catch you later, Ace. Thanks for popping in. You'll be the rat in the woodshed. Well, at least the wood where we store our wood's undercover, so you know. Yeah, carpooling's a good idea. Yeah. Unfortunately, like I said, the accommodation's all down in Penrith.
And I'll pick up anyone who catches a train up at Blaxland.
Yeah, so on the actual day, we'll pick people up from Blaxton Station, which is our closest train station, and we'll ferry you, obviously, to the school. It's too far away from the station to walk, but yeah. And we're on the main Western line. It's easy to get to Blaxland Station, and we'll just pick you up from there. Okay. Any other questions? The only other one is we haven't looked into Glenbrook.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you did? Oh, good. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Talk more.
Okay. We were thinking maybe we could hold it in Glenbrook because it's more of a cafe area than our little village, but apparently not. All right. Has anybody else got anything? Come on a tramp with me, Queen's birthday. 200 millimeters of snow. Yeah.
It's going to be cold.
But yeah, that's just a little cold. All right, Donna, thanks for joining in, sweetheart. We'll catch you next time.
If they haven't already, subscribe.
Oh, to the Maille Club? No.
No.
Oh, YouTube. Oh, yeah, don't forget, guys, before you leave, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, please. Please. Me and 5 teens from Ventures. Thanks a lot for joining us, Anna. You want Chris to make lunch? Yeah, I'm not sure Chris wants to make lunch this year.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
Catch you later, Kerry. You too, Leanne. All right then, guys. Everyone's peeling off, so we might call it a night then. But we'll keep you up to date. Yeah, Susie. I need a few more though. Encourage your friends and neighbours to subscribe to our channel. We need 1,000 basically. So if you know anybody that wants to subscribe, lean on them. All right, beautiful people. I will catch up with you through the week on Aussie Mailers. It was I really enjoyed lunch last time, Julie, with the barbecue.
Yeah, I had fun making it.
Yeah. Fun. And again, that's something we did, that's the school's barbecue, and they did that as a favour for us, letting us use it and things like that. They even went and filled it up with gas for us for nothing. So, that's one of the benefits of sticking up with the school there. Anyway, peeps, I will catch up with you all through the week, hopefully, on Aussie Mailers, and make sure you're all behaving.
Scott's 20 minutes behind.
I don't know how we can be 20 minutes behind. You'll start making fake accounts? Beautiful, Wes. Shh, don't tell anybody, though. All right, beautiful people. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your night. You just made the first bit. Oh, he's 20 minutes behind in making it. Okay, beautiful. Well done, Scott. Don't forget to post it on Aussie Mailers for us, mate, so we can have a look at what you do. All right, lovelies. Again, I'm going. Bye, all. Mwah. Bye.